Coming to you from the depths of the galaxy, bringing you hot takes, hot news, and spicy discussions about games. We are the Uneducated Gamers! This episode is brought to you by GalaxyGameTV.com and Shipping Shield, creator of the cardboard top loader alternative, environmentally safe shipping card protection made in the USA. Go to shippingshieldus.com for more details. What's up, everybody? This is the Uneducated Gamers Podcast, and this is Chris.
And this is Michael.
And we got a special, super duper episode for you all today. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We're talking to you today about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Super Mario.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. Oh,
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
my mom is calling me. Sorry, Mom. I'm doing my show.
But when she listens to the show, she'll be like, "Oh, I was calling him when I was doing that."
I love you, Mom.
Super Mario Brothers movie came out this past week, and we both, ironically, got to see it the same day on this past Saturday. And we have a lot of thoughts, a lot of uneducated conversations going to happen. But before we get into that, Super Mario Brothers has become this global phenomenon.
Do 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 do.
Phenomenon.
Do 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 do.
Has basically taken the global opening weekend for an animated film, surpassing Frozen 2, and is also 23rd in the overall lifetime spot of top grossing weekends, and 23rd overall in the list of all opening week films top grossing. This thing's going to be huge, Mike.
I hope it does. I have some concerns just because of the conditions of movie going post-pandemic, but I think that all things held equal, this movie has the chance to rocket pretty far up that list.
I think we have to predict something here. And I'm going to predict that Mario Brothers is going to be so big globally that it's going to be, it could potentially be in a top 15 story of top grossing films of all time. What do you think? Is that too bold of a statement?
Top 15? I'm looking at the top 15 in here. First of all, there is an uncomfortable amount of Disney movies in all this. You've got Marvel stuff, you've got Star Wars stuff, you've got like original Disney animated features like The Lion King is up here.
Oh, so that Lion King is actually the 2019 remake, by the way.
Oh,
not
is it?
The
It's
original.
not.
It's not the original animated.
Oh, the Mario movie's better than that. That movie sucked.
I think Super Mario Brothers is going to be at least 1.65 billion.
1.65? I could see 1.65. Let's see what else is. So 1.65.
That puts it in the Lion King range.
That puts it in, and it's a better movie than The Lion King.
Yeah.
Is it a better movie than the Avengers, the original Avengers?
I don't think Mario Brothers has the reach that, say, Avengers does.
That's fair. It is arguably more niche, at least in the States, than Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, I would agree. And I don't think it reaches like 2 billion marks where like it starts to encroach on like, say, Star Wars or
Avengers Affinity War. No.
Yeah,
Titanic.
No, or even Spider-Man like No Way Home. I do think it could cement itself in the top 10 But I think at the very least it hits top 15.
My wife just messaged me. Don't forget to hit record. Also remind people that you have hot takes on movies. Thanks, dear.
For the audience's pleasure, we'll take a quick side jaunt. And we had a guest on our last recording, and we did the whole episode. It was a great episode. We were all high-fiving each other, virtually, of course, cheering and yada, 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 and realized, dang nabbit, when I hit the record button, it didn't actually hit record. Oops.
I was a little embarrassed about that. It's one thing when we lose our own film. Like, it's annoying, but it's fine. It's embarrassing to do it with a guest.
Yeah. And what's even worse is none of us picked up on that fact that it wasn't recording. Oh man.
I think I caught it about 15 minutes towards the end of our session, and I'm like, ooh, it's been this far. I don't want to say anything in front of the guest. Okay, so talking about highest grossing films of all time and where does the Mario movie belong? I'm looking at this list. This list is so troubling. So you've got the top 5 is James Cameron's Avatar, then Avengers Endgame, then Avatar: The Way of Water, then Titanic, and then Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and then Infinity War, and then Spider-Man: No Way Home. So like, I get it. It's not going to beat any of those. Then you get down to like the next several, which are confusing. Jurassic World, shit movie. The live-action Lion King, shit movie. The Avengers was good. Furious 7, shit movie. Top Gun Maverick, shit movie. Frozen 2, shit movie.
No, I'm stopping you on that. Top Gun Maverick, sir, I don't like your words.
Tom Cruise is the god of Scientology, and Top Gun was never good to begin with. Fight me.
Well, Top Gun doesn't have to be good. It just has to be fun.
I can go on YouTube and watch videos of airplanes, like...
No. We're not going to see eye to eye to this, so let's move on.
I do like gay volleyball. Gay volleyball is the best part of Top Gun.
Oh, man. All right.
Anyway.
Recenter.
Recenter. I think it's better than all those movies. I don't know that it's going to reach that high on the list, though.
So you're thinking...
I think there's some major contention with the fact that post-pandemic theater attendance is not as high as pre-pandemic theater attendance, and that's a major problem for the Mario Brothers movie climbing its way up this list.
Okay, but riddle me this, right? 2019 was at the beginning of the pandemic, right?
Yes, but I think that the largest effects I don't think were really truly felt until 2020. Because when did the actual lockdowns happen?
So it would have been March of 2019.
Was it that early? Holy cow.
Yeah.
No, I see March 2020.
Is it 2020?
States begin to implement shutdowns in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. March 15, 2020. Source Google. Source the CDC.
So that was March of 2020? No, that can't be.
March of 2020. No. We didn't know what COVID was in March of 2019.
I feel like it's been longer than that. No?
Everyone feels like it's been longer than that.
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's probably okay.
So if you look at this highest grossing films list again then and you sort it by year, there are only 3 movies post 2020. First of all, there are no movies in 2020 on here. But there are only 3 after 2020, and that's Avatar: The Way of Water. I get it. Top Gun: Maverick. I get it. And Spider-Man: No Way Home makes sense. Theater attendance post 2020 is not anything close to what it was pre 2020, and I'm sure I could look up some actual data for that, but I won't.
Okay, but 2019 was in the middle of the pandemic, right?
No, I think we agreed. 2019 was
Or
kind
not
of before.
2019.
2019 was before.
Sorry, 2021, right?
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man: No Way Home is the tail end, and probably the kind of like super early of when things started opening up, right?
Yes, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, the only movies on this list post 2020 are like the biggest ones. Like Avatar: The Way of Water, I get why that's there. Top Gun: Maverick, I disagree, but I get why that's there. Spider-Man: No Way Home, I get why that's there. There's nothing else, and there have been good movies that have released in the last 3-4 years. There've been great movies that have been released in the last 3-4 years. But theater attendance is not where those movies are going to make their money going forward.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact. So top 50 here, we're looking at top grossing films, right? Only 3 of them are post 2020.
Yep.
But that just means they're making shitty movies right now.
No. I mean, they're always making shitty movies. That's how art is made. But no, there have been some great movies.
I'm just messing
blanking
around.
off the top of my head, but I know I've seen some. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, fantastic movie. Super Mario Brothers movie, fantastic movie.
I think, and I predict, Super Mario Brothers is going to top 1.65 billion and will be in the top 10 when it's all said and done.
1.65 billion?
It'll top it, meaning it'll go above 1.65 billion and will end up in the top 10.
As long as it's able to get around the fact that theater attendance is down because of the pandemic. I think based on the quality of the movie, I think it has legs to do that. The only thing I'm worried about is post-pandemic theater attendance. I think that's going to artificially push it down. And if I'm being bluntly honest, I'm going to say it's going to barely top 1 billion. Might hit 1.1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's final answer.
You heard it here, folks. Mike is wrong and I'm right.
As is wait, hold on. No. Hold on. Wait a minute. I will be very happy if it makes it that high in worldwide gross. I don't think it will. I think there's too many outside factors. Again, not at all the fault of the movie. I loved the movie. I think it was a really well-made movie. Factors outside of its own merits are going to keep it from getting as high as it should.
You know what I think might potentially also do that? And here's a segue for you. Is these stupid, ridiculous, redonkulous, crazy, dumb, unfounded, uneducated reviews that are out there for this freaking movie. And yes, that's my technical term.
No good, very bad day.
So, okay, real quick, I'm just going to run down. There's 4 of them that I wanted to point out that I think are really just very obtuse, and I don't understand it. 1, Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 57% on the tomato meter, means it's a squash tomato, right? Polygon, the 1993 movie is so much better than the first one. Like, what? Metacritic, Metascore of 46 on the Metascore, and Roger Ebert 1.5 out of 5 stars.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell Polygon, you heard it from here. I would rather watch Top Gun Maverick than the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie.
So I did read the Polygon article, and there's some educated and interesting points in that article. I'm not going to say that the whole article is trash. I think the headline is trash. I think a lot of the comparisons between this and the 93 film are trash because, honestly speaking, The film from 1993 wasn't even close to the source material.
No, it wasn't. I don't know what that movie was.
So like I'm actually now I want to actually release the episode that me and Joe did about like the 1993 film, because I'm not gonna lie, man. Like we broke this thing down. Like some of the stuff it's interesting, and I applaud their different take on the movie. But if you want to compare it to something that is meant to ride the rails of the source material, these movies they're uncomparable. They're very much uncomparable, period, regardless of how good or bad they are.
You're gonna have to feed me like point by point what Polygon actually said, because the moment I saw that, I just assumed it was rage bait and I didn't bother giving them a click.
I mean, I think some of the things that I would sort of highlight in like, so the byline here, right, is still a little strange. It's the live action Mario movie was weird, gross, and risky, and a lot more fun than the safe, faithful 2023 version. So, is the new Mario Brothers safe?
Yeah,
I think that
I think so.
I think that's a very obtuse way of looking at it, right? Because you could say safe, or you could say more in line with source material, kind of what I just said, right? Like Mario 93 was, in all intents and purposes, an offshoot, an interpretation in sort of a real world, like, in a live action way, right?
I think it's kind of an unfair comparison because Super Mario Brothers as an IP now versus what it was in '93 is completely different. Like in the public consciousness, I think you could probably make in a like you could if you just took the original '93 Mario Brothers movie and just re-released it today, it would be way better received than it was in '93, just because Super Mario is a juggernaut of social consciousness now.
Yeah, and the Mario 93 set, it was very, very, it was a very bad set. Like it was amazing that film even got finished, to be honest with you.
It was Gattaca with turtles.
I think I don't know. I mean, like, all I have to say is the headline is clickbait in all intents and purposes, right? It truly is, because there are some good points that are in this article, and I'm not going to give this article more airtime than it needs, but ultimately speaking, Polygon's not the only one that had a negative, sort of reaction to this. But what's messed up, right? So Rotten Tomatoes, on the tomato meter is 57%, but the audience score is 96%, right?
Yeah.
The Metascore, right? 46. User score 8.7. Like, this is the part that, and I think I've mentioned this before in this podcast when we've talked about films, but this is where I don't like doing ratings, because they're so subjective and not, really, the people who review movies and such for a living as part of their job, it's, I don't know, I just don't always feel like they have an objective look at what they're reviewing, I guess is what I'm getting at.
There are times when I would have to say that the critic is more correct than the audience. But they're looking for different things, right? The Super Mario Brothers movie is not an art piece in any way. It's not trying to present any sort of thesis. It's not trying to have any sort of social commentary. It's just trying to be fun, nostalgia-laden animated feature. And that's why the audience is always going to like it better than the critics. But I think it's wrong to say that that's worthless from a critical perspective.
Historically, the critics and movie reviewers. And hell, shit, maybe I should become a movie reviewer or something. I don't know. But, I think they will not objectively look at the topic at hand and be more locked in to their subjective perspective. And that's where I think that doesn't make sense for reviews, which is why I don't like giving review ratings on anything, because what I think from a number wise should not impact the audience on, whether they'll go see it or not. It's my description, my perspectives, my thoughts that really surpass those numbers, right? Because the numbers don't mean anything. It's interesting, but this is not unique to Mario Brothers, right? Like, there are plenty of movies that get really crappy reviewer scores and really great user scores.
Yeah.
So,
and there are movies that have really high critic scores that I feel like I just are kind of like, this wasn't really actually that good. You just thought it looked lofty, so you, I don't know, you were pretentious and gave it a high score.
Right? I mean, that happens a lot. So, in the spirit of that, let's move in to the good, the bad, and the nuggly.
The nuggly. The eggly. I like the eggly better. I'm going back and forth on that one.
Maybe we'll call it for this one the eggly, because we do kind of touch on some Easter eggs in here. But let's first go down the good, Mike. What are some things from your perspective kind of fit in that good category?
So I have this first one, but I kind of want to get into that with a little more detail. So I'm going to hold that off for a bit. And that's the sound design. That's throughout the whole movie, you had the soundtrack and the score and the sound design of all the little detail sounds. That's what kept standing out to me as what was perfect throughout the entire movie. But I want to come back to that because there's a lot to talk about there. So another thing that I wanted to say I really liked about this movie is they made it a nostalgia movie without feeling forced or boring. It wasn't just a series of member-berry references. A lot of the times I hate nostalgia movies because that's all they are. They're just like, hey, remember Darth Vader? Remember he was Luke's father? Yeah, I remember. No, this movie did a really good job of making reference to itself, but still maintained its own worth as a film. And I really, really appreciated that.
I'll come back to that in the bad. I don't know if I fully agree with you. But let's move on.
It felt like a movie. It was definitely a nostalgia trip, but it felt like an actual movie with writing and directing and setup and payoff and sound design. It was a movie. Third thing, the voice acting was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was one of the things that at first had a very big negative connotation to it. Was, oh, Chris Pratt is gonna just destroy Mario. It's not gonna be faithful. Oh, Charlie Day, he's gonna be terrible as Luigi. And it was, I honestly, yes. Did you recognize some of the voices? Absolutely, but that's fine. But I think the way that it was acted, like voice acted, I wasn't bothered by it. Like, were you?
No. I'm surprised you mentioned Charlie Day because he was actually the one I had the least worry about. Other than maybe like Keegan-Michael Key or Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't think I even thought about them when I was worried about voice actors. Jack Black was a big one for me.
Really?
I love Jack Black, but I don't really think the man can act. he just does Jack Black things on screen. But he really stepped up to the plate and did a bang up job as a voice actor in this movie.
Yeah, I think I didn't have any concern about Jack Black. I felt like Jack Black was going to bring it, and I had no qualms there. Keenan I had no problems with. After seeing some of the early trailers with Peach, I was like, fantastic. Yeah, the I was concerned about Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, in my opinion, he's usually the worst part of every movie he's in.
I think overall Donkey Kong was great. I do find that there was too much Seth Rogen in the Donkey Kong voice, where you could truly pick out Seth Rogen. But other than that, I mean, I wasn't turned off by it by any stretch of the imagination. But I was absolutely delighted with the speaking voice of Mario. A lot of people really complained and thought about, well, it should be the voice actor from the Mario in the game. But here's the thing. The voice actor for Mario in the game maybe speaks a few lines here and there.
Yeah.
You imagine listening to that voice, nothing against his voice. I think in those spurts, in those moments, they're perfect. They're exactly what they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have less than 5 seconds to, draw that emotional excitement during playing the video game, right? But when you're watching a movie that's like 90 minutes long, there's no way you're going to sit through listening to that voice the whole time.
It's a completely different job, right? And
Right.
who knows? Maybe I actually don't know the guy's name, but maybe he would be a really good voice actor if he had the chance to. But it is a completely different job to actually speak and lose yourself in a character through dialogue, through conversation, through empathy, than it is to just throw some lines in, throw some bulk lines in for voicing a largely voiceless protagonist in a platformer game.
Yeah, and the Mario voice actor, he was he had he did a few voices in the movie, right?
Did
he wasn't completely shut out of the movie of doing any voices, right?
Where was he in the movie? I missed that.
Yeah, so he was I'm checking it up right now. But he played voices for so Charles, he was Mario's dad. So the woohoo, well, that was actually him. That was the real Mario voice.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, he did get a bit part. That's really cool.
Yeah. So so he, Martinet, Charles Martinet. So yeah, he did get into the movie. But really, just going back to that, right? Is like, I don't know if I would watch a movie with the video game Mario voice the whole time.
Maybe not. He would have to change a lot about what he did to make it fit for a movie, and then people would complain that he didn't sound the same.
Right. So
meanwhile, you can put Chris Pratt in that role, and as much as people are tired of Chris Pratt, and myself included, he does have star power. He's gonna put butts in seats. That's how Hollywood operates.
And he was fantastic. I have zero qualms about what he did with the Mario character and voice.
I thought he did a good job. Just like Jack Black, Chris Pratt is kind of the person who just plays himself on screen and has never really had to do anything else. Even in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, he's pretty much just being Chris Pratt in space. But he actually had to step up and do something different in this movie, and I think he rose to the challenge. I think he did a good job.
Absolutely. What else you got on your list?
Did you catch, speaking of Charles Martinet making it to the movie, did you catch that the other people in Mario's family were voiced by John DiMaggio and Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah, yes.
I totally missed that at the time. My wife pointed out Sebastian Maniscalco to me, and I'm just now seeing John DiMaggio. What a cast.
I know, right? Like, I think what they did here was really got some really, really good talent here. And I also think that they have set themselves up for a follow-up very easily.
Oh yeah. I don't think it needs it, but I think they could do it and it wouldn't feel like too much.
I could see a Toad movie. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh really? I would go Yoshi's Island first.
Oh, sure. I don't know what would be next, but I can certainly see them doing a Toad movie. I can see them doing a Peach movie for sure.
I'm seeing some people talking about Wario and Waluigi.
Oh yeah. So I think there's definitely the talent they went with here. I think sets them up in a scenario that enables them to expand the universe. If I could actually see a Luigi's Mansion movie.
Yes. I was hoping to see a little more of that in this movie, and we didn't get it, and I was a little disappointed. But the movie was very edited very tightly, I thought, and I figured that if they did do it, it probably just would have broken the rhythm.
Well, they tried to. They tried to infer Luigi's Mansion.
They definitely inferred it for a moment. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna do it, and then they didn't. He just got captured by Shy Guys and brought to the castle.
Yeah. But we'll come back to that one because I got some thoughts there.
I really liked. So I just complimented Jack Black for losing himself in the role and finally voice acting in a way where he's just not playing himself on screen. But I still also really appreciate that the people making the movie said, you know, we've got Jack Black. We should let him do some Tenacious D things on screen. And they gave him that whole Tenacious D piano ballad. And it was absolutely gorgeous.
Peaches.
Peaches, I love you.
I think it's funny because they really leaned into a lot of Nintendo 64 references in this film. I don't know if you've picked up on that, but there was a huge lean in on N60, like Mario 64. Like I would say it's like Mario 64 and back very heavily, and then they sprinkled things along the way with some of the newer stuff like Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario World and 3D and Mario 3, but they really leaned in hard with 64 and back with this film, which I really appreciated.
They did. And they definitely did not leave out Galaxy or Sunshine or Odyssey.
Oh, no.
There was definitely references in there, but I liked that a lot of it came from older properties. I loved the little background detail with the curio shop with the, what was it, like retired items or something, legacy items, and it had like the little music box from Mario 3 and like the coin from Super Mario World with Yoshi's face on it.
Yeah. There was another reference in there of when they were going when Toad and Mario were first going through the Mushroom Kingdom as he was walking through, and there was a shopkeeper talking about, or one of the Toads was like, oh yeah, does this still work or is this still good? And like, oh yeah, all you have to do is blow in it. So they really brought a lot of old school nostalgia references that I think really, unless you were listening and paying attention, you would have missed.
Well, and here's where I want to bring in, I think, the sound design and the soundtrack and stuff again too. They did such a fantastic job of incorporating all those references, not even like digitally or like not even visually or like through callouts, but if you listen to the sounds, like the detail,
the contextual sounds,
the contextual sounds, and the score as it was written, they flowed in and out of various Mario games, like constantly and almost imperceptibly.
One of the things, so every time we watch, so we have this thing with my children, where we'll at the end of the day, when we're eating dinner, we say, how was your day? What did you like? What have you? And we watch movies, and then we do this thing where, we go around the table. It's like, what did you like? Reflection. We're trying to
Yeah.
teach our children reflection, right? And so, when it came down to my turn, when my son asked me, he's like, well, what did you like about it? I said, first and foremost is the score and the soundtrack and the sound design of this film.
Yes.
Because by far, that often destroys movies when it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally smashed it so hard.
So hard.
And it was not actually done in a poor way that was like too much. It was like perfect.
It was beautiful. It was referential. Like I said, it flowed. Like they would go you'd get like the underground theme from Super Mario's 1, and it would flow into like the map theme from Super Mario's 3, and then they would have like a little bit of like Super Mario World in there, and it all flowed together, and it like ebbed and waxed and waned with the action on screen. Like it was a master class of composition for this movie. And I kind of wouldn't expect any less from a Nintendo project, because they kind of like wrote the rule book when it came to video game sounds.
Yeah.
But still, and that's I think my main argument for the critics being wrong on this one. Like, if you're gonna look at this like an art piece, close your eyes and just go through that movie listening to the sounds. That's where so much love and care was put into in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I actually want to, when it comes out, I can't wait to actually see it at home and watch it again and really intake that mix again and kind of, because I feel like I know I was conscious of the whole thing and listening, but man, there's just so many things that the first time you watch a movie you miss until you watch it again.
I also really appreciate that, knowing that most of their audience are people who grew up with Mario, they had a bunch of 80s pop and metal music scattered throughout their soundtrack, and somehow it wasn't jarring. There wasn't that it didn't take you out of the action at all, because the whole movie was it was allowed to just be goofy and fun. So when it went from like beautifully composed orchestra music to be a love letter to Mario soundtracks, and then all of a sudden, back in black, it was fine.
Well, I think a lot of it worked because the way that they mixed it, right? Like you can take movies, right? And a lot of people don't realize this unless you really focus and listen, right? But when you look at scores, like scores are up and down, right? They turn left, they turn right, they sometimes go up, they sometimes go down, they sometimes just come right at your face. All in the same movie. And I don't think that's any different with something like this. And you can almost consider this a period piece, if anything, right? And so if you think of it that way, it's a modern take on a nostalgia trip of a video game that honestly, man, this in my opinion, this surpasses Sonic, in my opinion.
Oh, no question whatsoever.
Yeah. So if we look at this from that perspective of a video game movie, leaps and bounds, this takes the cake, bar none.
I jammed so hard when they did the take on me.
Yeah. I think even things like the like Rainbow Road and the carts, like they yes, did that stray slightly from source material? Sure, but at the same time, like, we don't actually have any full backstory of Mario Kart and everything. We have bits and pieces, but there's no expanded universe of, story of Mario Kart. You know what I mean?
And there doesn't have to be. And they did, that was another thing they did really well with this movie, is the Mario IP is just supposed to be It's supposed to be colorful, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be whimsical, surreal, and nonsensical. Everything just like a traditional cartoon is supposed to be. It's not going to sit here and try to explain to you what power-ups are or why they work. It's not going to give you the biology of a super growth mushroom. It just says, hey, eat this mushroom, you get big, you get small if they hit you. Well, what does that mean? Don't worry about it, just run. It's fine. It's good. It's okay to just enjoy it. It's very Looney Tunes. It's very contempt for its own physics and continuity. That's what cartoons. That's when cartoons are their best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this film did the continuity bug very, very well. You know, all the way down to like when they were building carts, right? Like doing the selection of the, you know, pick your cart, you know, and the little rotating dials to like do, like, dude, you do that in Mario Kart, right? Like that, like those kind of details just ultimately is just like, look, man, this is a Mario movie. We're going to give you what you want.
I also appreciated that. So realistically, Donkey Kong didn't. If you're just going with like the Mario IP, Donkey Kong didn't have to be there. You kind of had to have a great reason for Donkey Kong to be there, and it was fun that they used Donkey Kong to tie the Mario Kart stuff in there, so it all kind of felt like it meshed.
If you think about this, is Mario first, even before Jumpman, right? Like, so Jumpman's a throwback to the OG Mario before he was Mario.
Rolling barrels.
What's that?
Like rolling barrels, Mario.
Yeah, and so Mario wasn't a character, was first a character in Donkey Kong games.
Yeah.
So you almost, if you were going to bring the nostalgia back from the beginning, like you have to bring Donkey Kong. Why?
That's fair.
Why wouldn't you?
I think that basically after that game, you didn't have too much to do with Mario outside of the Mario Kart stuff.
Yeah, but ultimately speaking, like Donkey Kong was Mario's first protagonist.
That's true.
So I think it was I would think it was very, very on canon on how they sort of built the stories. Like if you think about the you know, when the scenes where Mario and Donkey Kong were battling, right? I think it was really sweet that what they did there was they kind of remixed Smash Brothers and the original Donkey Kong.
They did.
In one thing to kind of just make it more modern, right?
And they had him throwing barrels at Mario.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, call it what you will. And I don't understand still, like, and I'm going to read more of these reviews from these critics, but I am curious, like, why some of this, like, a lot of this good stuff that you can really just point out of these little minutiae that really just called back to the, you know, to the original source material. I don't know. I know I keep on repeating myself, but it's like, it's crazy to think of. And as we talk about it, it's like, how does this not strike a chord with anyone in that way?
Because it wasn't an art film. I think critics just tend to rate kids' movies lower in general because most of the time it's noise and sounds to keep the kids' attention, right? But like, this movie wasn't that. This wasn't the live action Clifford the Big Red Dog movie. This was like made with care.
I guess. I mean, so looking at this, like Frozen 2, probably one of the top grossing movies, like had a 64 Metacritic review. So 64 versus 57, not a very...
Frozen 2 scored higher?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Not on the user score, though. The user score is 6.8.
No, yeah, that movie was awful.
Yeah. But the Metascore was 64, so higher, a little bit higher than Mario. What else we got? So and again, I think we've talked about this, like, you know, this movie was way closer to source material than a 93 film, so we talked about that. I also really much lean into this is a movie for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Like kids parents. Otherwise, it took like some of the good. It leaned into adult themes, and what I mean by adult themes, I mean like leans into appealing to adults, right? But also kind of takes that left turn a little bit to give those kids a little bit of a chuckle and a nod. My kids were just like, they were so excited watching this film. Like I've never seen them this excited watching a film and in the theater. I'll
It
be
was
honest with
great.
you.
It was great. And it wasn't so like there's a whole modern design thing that I've seen probably since like late 2000s Cartoon Network kind of thing where their appeal to kids is just like loud childish screaming noises.
Yeah.
And they had like a little bit of that occasionally in this movie, but I was really happy to see that it wasn't there. It wasn't just annoyingly kiddie when it was trying to be kiddie.
Yeah. All right, now that we talked about a lot of the good, we kind of have to transition a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the bad. Like, what are some of these, what is some of the bad that you see in this film?
So this was something my wife pointed out. And I don't know if I could say it's necessarily a strike against the movie. But you did kind of have places I thought where you've got these really, really all-star cast people, and because there's so many of them, and you can only, put so many of them on screen at a time, it felt like some of them were kind of wasted in the movie. Like, I love Charlie Day, but Luigi spent like at least half of that movie completely off screen. He didn't have a whole lot to do.
Yeah, I think in that case, right? Like some of the things that I think about is really kind of touching on one of the things I mentioned in The Good was that I really do think that they're setting this up to do multiple movies. And not saying it's Super Mario Brothers multiple movies, but they got to find a way to hit a all-star cast that can carry weight through to, say, let's just say Luigi's Mansion or a Princess Peach story.
Yoshi's Island.
Right.
Wario. Doki Doki Panic?
Oh. I mean, and that's truly what I think was the... And not a lot of, and you see this in the Marvel universe, you see this in a lot of other movies. They don't often look at the talent from a longevity perspective. Whereas I think in this case, they really did spend time to make sure and say, okay, yeah, we have this movie today, but is there forward movement for these guys to be able to move to the next thing in this universe?
You're right. So your thought is they're the cat, like Charlie Day's Luigi maybe didn't really have time to shine in this movie, but if they get to do a Luigi's Mansion, now they've got Charlie Day.
Yeah.
And they can really let him do Luigi things. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd love to see Peach maybe get a little bit more focus too. Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic, and I feel like she had more to do than Charlie Day did, but I feel like she still got a little bit stifled in this movie.
Yeah, I also think on that same respect, Keegan Michael Key as Toad, right? On that same respect, I really wanted to see. I was hoping we'd see more Toad in this one.
He was there for comic relief, and it was great. But yeah, Keegan Michael Key is priceless.
Yeah. But I think again, you can then say like, think of Michael Key, Keegan Michael Key, and Taylor-Joy doing a Mushroom Kingdom movie, right?
Sure.
And they're the main characters. Maybe it's a prequel to all of this. Who knows? Or whatever.
Doki Doki Panic.
Toki Panic. But I hear you. I think the star power that they had very little airtime. My hope and my thought is that signal that they're invested in this into this for more films to come.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I'm interested in that little tidbit I have to say here because I noticed in the notes you actually have the opposite opinion a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see a little more Luigi's Mansion throwback in this. It when they separated the brothers and Luigi got dumped into the dark forest. Spoilers: Luigi gets dumped into a dark forest. I thought maybe he would stumble upon it. And they'd have to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but it'd be cool if he just stumbles into a mansion, has to do a little whatever, and then winds up meeting Mario for the final boss battle.
Yeah, that was one of the I think the and I don't maybe I missed it, but the booze, I think we missed the booze in this one. This was
There
one
were
of the
no
ones
boos.
there was no booze in this. And
No thwomps either, I don't think.
no, you're right, because
No
there was no
thwomps.
castle. There was no castle. But we saw the the skeleton
Yes.
turtles. I
What
forget
are
what
they
they're
called?
called.
The undead Koopas.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think I felt now part of it I think was slightly clever, but I also feel like it was slightly forced because they knew it was an expectation of Luigi to have a Luigi's Mansion moment within this movie. And I think those references were the way that they did it sort of just forced it a little bit more than I think they had to.
It feels like they actually had something at some point, but they trimmed it down in editing.
Yeah.
But they didn't fully, completely nix it.
Yeah.
Which I could see why you could stumble a little on that. Why have it halfway there for the reference and then not capitalize on it?
Like they could have at the very least, when at the end of it when he was getting taken away, he came across this this haunted mansion and he stumbled in it or whatever, and you quickly saw something that scared the crap out of him, and then he ran out the door, and then he got picked up by the Shy Guys. You know what I mean?
That would have been enough.
That would have felt less forced than kind of what they had put together. Now, that's just my opinion.
Well, I think the pieces of it, I don't know what the original film was before they started cutting it down, but think about Luigi's arc in that movie, right? His character arc is that he feels he has anxiety over the fact that he's always lived in his brother's shadow, and I don't know if they really ever actually address that, or if Luigi just decides, okay, I'm tired of being anxious about this, and I'm gonna go help my brother and not worry about it. I feel like the Luigi's Mansion bit, you could have added oh, he's forced to actually go solve this problem on his own, gains his confidence that way, and then shows up at the end a changed man and helps Mario. There was room there for him to have a little more character growth than I think of what he actually got in that movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I also don't think that Mario's character was Luigi's character was fully developed.
No.
In this whole thing. I feel like it was a little offshoot-ish in ways.
Yeah, I said, I think it felt like there was more to the movie at some point.
Yeah. Because I just feel like the Luigi sequences were just a little disjointed at times.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a very glaring way, but I would ask myself, it's okay, so where is this going? And it would just not go anywhere, right? Bad's a bridge between the worlds.
So this is a pet peeve of mine. So I talked about earlier how I largely enjoyed that the movie allowed a cartoon to just be a cartoon. It's allowed to have nonsense physics, nonsense concepts, and it's not going to explain anything. So the whole bridge between worlds trope that a lot of these things do to try to, I feel like it's an attempt to like ground the cartoon surrealism in realism, and it annoys the crap out of me. I hated it in the Sonic movie. I hated it in the 1993 Mario movie, but I feel like it doesn't upset me in this movie as much because it's clearly a reference to the 1993 Mario movie. It's almost a bridge between worlds as parody of the bridge between worlds concept, but even so, points off for being bridge between worlds. I don't want Super Mario Isekai. I want Super Mario Brothers.
So explain to me what you mean, because maybe I missed something.
Well, they started out in like modern Brooklyn. That was the course that, you know, like the 1993 Mario movie did. It's like this is it was still animated because that was the
Oh, I
style
see
of
what
the
you're saying.
movie, but it was modern Brooklyn was the setting at the beginning, and it was real life. It's just two guys trying to be plumbers, and to be fair, the bathroom scene with the dog was absolutely hilarious. But it was like we're not starting in the Mushroom Kingdom. We're starting in Brooklyn, and you had to
Well,
have that transition into the cartoon world, and that always takes me out of it.
so that's interesting, and I like what you're saying there. But I think though, and if you've ever played, have you ever played what was the name of the Wrecking Crew? You ever play Wrecking Crew?
I've not played Wrecking Crew.
So Wrecking Crew is actually where Mario and Luigi are referenced for the first time, and this was before Mario Brothers.
Oh,
And
okay.
Wrecking Crew was, so a lot of people don't clue in that actually Mario and Luigi were actually carpenters before they were plumbers
Okay.
in canon. And so there was
As if
this
canon matters in surrealism.
yeah, right, right. But the video game Wrecking Crew is actually I think it's Wrecking Crew.
I That's what I pulled up and I see Wrecking Crew for the NES.
Yeah, so and the reference here is um the Wrecking Crew was the character Spike, Mario, and Luigi.
Okay.
And basically Spike was their boss, as referenced in the movie. And Mario and Luigi were tired of Spike's aggressive behavior and how he was. And so they went off and they did their own thing and became plumbers.
Okay.
And then so Mario Brothers actually picks up from the scene where they get sucked into the sewers. So the first Mario Brothers.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know that. That's a cool tidbit. I took that whole opening to just be a parody of the 1993 Mario's movie, which because
Yeah.
it's kind of beat for beat how that movie goes for a while, to the point where even they had like, oh, their van failed. They gotta, you know.
Yeah. No, and a lot of people who haven't played like a lot of those games back in the day, like there's no way you would have known that, right? Like there's but yeah, so that's kind of where that came from.
Okay.
Is from that, which is funny because when I saw Spike, I was like, wait a minute. I was starting in the beginning of the movie. I was going down the way you were going. I was like, oh, this is like is this a bad like take on 93 Mario? And then I saw Spike and I was like, oh,
Well,
oh,
that just
Wrecking Crew.
I think it works us both. I think actually, you know what?
Yeah.
So I'll amend my statement a little more then. You know, I usually do I hate the bridge between worlds trope.
Yeah.
But seeing that it works as a parody of the 93 movie, and it actually has some legs apparently in the quote unquote Mario lore, I guess full marks for that. I can't be upset for following their own source material.
Yeah. but again, I mean, in all fairness, right? Like the only way I knew it was because I played Wrecking Crew back in the day,
It seems like
and
such an obscure take,
it is.
which makes it even better.
And there's a few other ones, right? Like there's a couple of other ones in this and we'll get to this in the Easter eggs, but like the reference to Jumping Man, right? Jumping
Yeah,
Man was
Jumpman.
Mario.
That one I caught, the
Yeah.
Jumpman reference.
Jumpman, yeah, sorry, Jumpman. That was Mario, right? So like I think it's funny because they had access to all the research, obviously, of Nintendo executives, right?
Right.
So they had the source material available to them at the ready to ask questions of why did this happen, or why is that. The one thing though I would mention is the dog. Is the dog, and a few people that I've kind of like messaged with on this, is the dog a reference or not a reference to the dog in Duck Hunt?
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Um, I'll allow it. It makes sense. Kind of a little.
Kind of, right?
What was the name of the dog in the movie?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
It looks like it doesn't have a name in the game.
Uh,
It's just
yeah,
called dog.
yeah. Now
So
they are different breeds,
they are
right?
different breeds, yes.
So
But
it may not.
I'm willing to let that be headcanon.
I'm probably thinking no. It kind of became the census between the little chat that I got involved with around that yeah, probably not, because it's a different dog. But it was like one of those things where it's like, ooh, is that a deep cut in there, or is it a stretch?
I think that's a stretch. I think that's looking for eggs and not quite finding it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I welcome it. If it's actually intended, I'll allow it.
So I think one of the things that I thought was also slightly, I would consider it a bad in the movie, was there were moments, and mostly during the montage through the fiery the fire the fire flower forest, the Yoshi's Island, and some of these other ones. They just kind of ripped through them so quickly, and it was literally, it's what I feared when we saw the trailer of like the montage of like scatter of all over the places, and didn't really provide a coherent additive to the story. Yes, they're going through these areas, but honestly, they could have done without it. I would have rather have seen more of Luigi and kind of like Luigi references with that airtime than some of the useless montages they had.
You're not wrong. I think I would have rather had Luigi's character better fleshed out and allowed to actually grow, rather than the montage. But I don't hate a montage. It reminded me of you remember the Ice Age montage, on my way,
Yeah.
do do do, on my way, do 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 do. It's just an Ice Age montage. I'm cool with it.
I guess.
As if Ice Age was the first movie to have a montage.
I felt like it was just jammed in there for nostalgia's sake, and that's really what I really kind of just take issue with.
That's fair. I will agree with that. Nostalgia for nostalgia's sake is not great.
But that is probably the most minute bad take that I can even come up with, other than they really got something wrong in the canon, in my opinion, and I think it's a big one. This is going to sound dumb, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but the star power, they did it wrong.
Okay. All right.
So, in the game, when you get star power, you can't jump on things, you can't bounce off of things, you can't bounce off of characters or shells or anything like that. And they did that in the movie. The star power, as soon as you hit something, it's like, whoop, it's dead.
I'm gonna now request that we get a soundbite from the clip from Big Lebowski where he goes, "You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole."
I mean, the power of all power-ups. How in the world were they enabled to get that wrong?
It's just movie choreography. It was why they had to tweak that. Like, it's not going to be conducive to a film to just have them run forward and everything that touches them bursts into flame and dies.
But then, like, bounce off of cars, bounce off of cars and walls and such.
They did.
No, they did, but they also did it with turtles. They did it with all these.
It's physical comedy. It's vaudeville. It's vaudeville.
But you get all this nostalgia, you get all this in place, and then it's just like, you screwed up the take at the end. It was like it was what it was all leading up to, is the star power of all power, and you dinked it up. You
dinked it up. You're the kid who said, "Look, I'm on star power," and then ran into the wall. This is your brain. This is your brain on star power.
But here's the thing. These are all things that we've been talking about are all extremely, very minute things in the entirety of a story that I think really did a really great job of being an animated movie, telling a great story that is based off of a video game and takes the canon and really drives it home, interpreted as a universe.
And let's go back to that being a video game movie. That's difficult enough to do already. Mm-hmm. But Super Mario Brothers, that franchise is a platformer. It doesn't really have a story. It has a series of levels and vignettes and iconography shoved in your face for you to, like, bounce around in. The fact that they could take that and make a genuinely entertaining movie with a well-written story out of it, and we couldn't have, like, a usable Assassin's Creed movie, that's telling. Kudos to them. They've done a good job.
The Nuggly.
The Nuggly. The Eggly. I think I like the Eggly better. First of all, I don't think there's a risk of people misinterpreting what we're saying there when we say Eggly. Which I thought about after the effect.
Okay. So I have to bring up probably one of my favorite nuggets or egglets or Easter eggs or whatever you want to call it in this movie. I don't know if you picked up on this. I don't know how many people picked up on this. I know I looked around, and anybody who like talked about like Easter eggs or things that came up in the movie that were callbacks, like the little minutiae, this was not brought up anywhere. But when Mario and Luigi first went in the sewers, when they got sucked into the sewers, as they were walking down the stairs, there was a sign that said level 1-2.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And when I saw that, I'm like, and it was the color palette of 1-2 in Super Mario Brothers. It was like the whole thing, and I was like, yeah, they did it.
That's so clever.
I was like, they did it. They did it. And that is one of the biggest things about this movie that I think we talked about a couple times now, is the little things, the little audio, the little touches that really kind of just, I don't know if everybody like picked up on these things.
There was a lot. Like, I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna get all of them in one viewing. I'm gonna have to watch this again to catch stuff, and I caught a lot of it. But like, my focus was on certain things, and clearly your focus was on certain things, and you probably saw stuff that I missed, like this, for example, and I saw stuff that you missed.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. It was jam packed with egglings.
Yes, very much so. I think another shout out was, and I don't know if we talked about this in an episode or not. I thought we did, but I can't remember. Maybe it was just offline conversation, but the runtime. The runtime I was very much concerned about. I was like, "Oh man, this is just going to be like this rapid fire like weird nonsense kind of thing and we're just going to get through it really fast." But honestly, outside of the Luigi pacing of it all, everything else was like, it was spot on. That movie was exactly as long as it needed to be.
It didn't feel. It felt a little tiny bit rushed in a couple of places, and Luigi felt underserved. And that, I think, is due, like I said, to the movie originally being longer and them cutting it down because they decided it was too long and overstaying its welcome. But the movie did not feel. It felt like it was long enough. It didn't feel too short, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
It didn't
exactly.
feel too condensed as to be troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, originally I was concerned. Originally I was worried about, are we just gonna be? Yeah, it was something we talked about because we talked about the Yoshi's Island, and the montage in the trailer, which ended up just being a montage in the movie of, are we going to rapidly go to places too quickly, and we're just gonna be like, whoop, and then be like, what did we just watch?
Yeah, no, they just used all those vignettes as a travel montage, which it's just a great way to show lengthy travel with not much going on in a movie. But B, it gave them trailer material, and it gave us something fun to go, ooh, it gave us a little taste of the member berries without being too member berry.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't think more about the carts. The carts were so great.
Can we talk about the Mad Max Rainbow Road?
Oh man.
Oh man, I was so excited.
That was so fun.
Again, an 80s reference because their audience.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? Is it was fun, it was entertaining, and it didn't go on too long.
It didn't.
Like, they got the pacing on that very, very, very much correct. And I think on some of these little minor things that we're pointing out, this goes back to what we're talking about now with Rainbow Road and the fact that they just got it perfect. They got the runtime basically perfect. And I can't fault them for some of the little stuff. You can't get everything right. You just can't. Some of the more interesting Easter eggs that I kind of wanted to point out, that there's the pizzeria of the Punch Out Pizzeria. I don't know if you noticed that one.
Yep, I caught the Punch Out.
The Mario playing a Nintendo NES.
Yep. What game was he playing? I didn't know that game.
Kid Icarus.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. Such a great game. In his room, there were like posters everywhere for like things like Kung Fu and some other ones. Like, there was a bunch of them and different throwbacks within his room. But if you notice, there was nothing about Mario Brothers in there at all, which is kind of funny.
It's funny. This is kind of a non sequitur, but I loved that stupid little joke they did when they were in Mario's room, where they're like, "Luigi, this is Destiny calling," and Luigi goes, "What, Destiny from high school? No, we gotta go."
Oh man, yeah, there was a lot of pop culture in there too. It was really fun. The Mayor Pauline, I don't know if a lot of people got the Mayor Pauline reference in here. But really much of a throwback. If you think about this, back in the day, in the Donkey Kong games, that was not Princess Peach. That was
No.
actually Mayor Pauline.
That was something I don't think I recognized at the time of the movie, but as I was doing some research for the show, I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, a lot of people think Princess Peach goes back all the way back from the original, like Donkey Kong, and it's actually not true.
No, the actual names and lore and stuff kind of like it was topsy-turvy and retconned and kind of finalized at the first Super Mario Brothers game, but it was the stuff existed long before that with not all the same names.
That was so the other thing too though is when Toad and Mario got to the castle and the Toads were like, yeah, the princess is not in this castle. Go check the other castle. That was great. That was like, both me and my wife looked at each other, were like, yep.
They had to do that joke somehow.
Yeah, they did it perfectly. I do really appreciate the references and the different perspectives that they created the world map, which is very much Mario and very much done extremely well within the movie.
That was reminiscent of the Super Mario World map, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what that looked like.
Yeah. And it wasn't explicitly doing like, so it was doing the entire world map, right? So that included Kong Island, that included all of the, you've never seen that in any of the video games, right? You would just have Mushroom Kingdom and so on and so forth. But Yoshi's Island, Kong Island, and all the different, Mushroom Kingdom and all of them. And so like when they were all preparing for battle, like Star Wars style, and the world map came up in the middle of the room when they were at the castle and, trying to strategize. Oh, we're going to go and we're going to cut them off at the pass over here or whatever. Perfectly done. Like beautiful. Like the way that they referenced it was bar none the best.
I was hoping for when they went to through the desert area with the upside down pyramids. I was kind of hoping they'd do a throwback to like the really angry sun.
Yeah.
Remember the Super Mario 3 level?
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping they were going to go more into that and lean into it just a little bit, but they didn't. But that's okay. I do feel like, again, going back to earlier statements, I think it's just it's setting up for it's essentially speaking, they did these to set up for what's next.
Did you catch that when Peach was doing the platforming and showing Mario how to platform, that she did the dress glide?
Yes. Yeah. Signature Peach move. What else? Mario versus Donkey Kong, super throwback. I think we talked about that earlier. Donkey Kong crew. There's a lot of the Donkey Kong crew that was out in the crowd, and Diddy Kong was called out, during the movie in the crowd, right? So they were all there.
They had the DK rap.
Yes.
They had the DK rap at the beginning of that scene.
That was really cool.
Seth Rogen said in an interview that he thought that was the stupidest song ever made.
Seth Rogen is the stupidest song that was ever made.
One of the few movies Seth Rogen has ever been good in. This one and Guilt Trip with Barbra Streisand. Go watch the Guilt Trip with Barbra Streisand and Seth Rogen. I recommend it.
I think I think the one thing I'll finish on here, and I'll hand it over to you is I think the fact that they intermixed a lot of new school and old school Mario, and namely, they really leaned fairly, I wouldn't say heavy, they really leaned into Smash Brothers, which almost leads me to wonder is do they think or anticipate they would entertain a Smash Brothers movie? Maybe not, but
How would that work? Would it be like an Avengers Secret Wars kind of thing?
probably, maybe.
Does that imply that Mario is going to be looking for a new pair of overalls and end up with an alien symbiote instead?
Oh. But I mean, think about that, right? Like, how do you else get some of the Nintendo fandom characters within a movie to gauge interest, right? Let's talk about Zelda. Let's talk about Samus. Let's talk about some Kid Icarus and some others. The only way you sort of get them involved without like wasting a lot of time of creating a movie, Smash Brothers movie.
I could see that. I worry that a Smash Brothers movie would end up being far more member-berry than this would be.
I think it really depends on if they decide to make it like Fight Club Mario.
Oh God. What, like they all get together, start burning down skyscrapers in Manhattan?
Well, not exactly that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, really, kind of like, Rocky, Adrian, Peach.
Rocky and
Peaches,
Fight
Peaches,
Club are not
Peaches.
at all the same story. You know that, right?
Peaches, 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 Peaches.
One of those stories is about overcoming personal issues, and the other is about the problem with anarchy.
All I'm saying is it could easily be turned into. I potentially feel like they could figure out a way to make Smash Brothers interesting to where it's like, going into this battle or something, Like, how else do they make Pokemon cartoons? You know what I mean? So they got to figure out. I mean, I'm imagining they would borrow from like Pokemon battles and so on and so forth, or Naruto, or some of those other ones that are very similar.
Any of those shonen cartoons where it's mostly just two characters fight.
Yeah.
The WWEs of anime.
Yeah. I could see it happen.
That might work better as a series though for that, because there might be a lot going on.
Ooh.
Because like that was, and we'll talk about this in a different episode, but that was one of my takeaways from the D&D movie is like, this should not have been a movie. This should have been a mini-series.
Thank you for listening to our latest episode. You can comment on this and other episodes at galaxygametv.com. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitch for additional gaming content. Also, if you want to support our show or Galaxy Game TV, check out our Patreon for exclusive content and great giveaways to our supporters. Until next time, we bid you farewell.